Remember the old adage, listen to your mother? Well, it turns out there is something special and unique about a mother's voice for children. There's been numerous research that's been conducted over the years in regards to the impact of a mother's voice on a child, and it's long been established that the mother's voice can connect better with her child. But this new piece of research indicates that it's actually the baby's brain is hardwired to be more receptive to the voice of the mother. There was a research conducted in 24 babies. It was published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. 24 children, were studied, and in 97% of the cases it was found that they were responsive to the sounds of the mother over and above anybody else. And how that actually worked was it's not just about being responsive to it, but it's the depth and the extent of the response that people found fascinating. As the research there, one of the head researchers said on the project, said, we know that hearing their mother's voice can be an important source of emotional comfort to children. Here we're showing the biological circuitry underlying that. So Margaret, what they did was they just gave snatches of sound, so like no more than a second long of gobbledygook sound of the mother, and then of two other female voices that the children weren't familiar with, or with which they weren't familiar. And in 97% of the instances, the children were able to pick out the mother's voice rather, and they then studied how their brainwaves responded to that sound. And what was fascinating was the extent to which the brains were engaged and the synapses were firing. So that is to say that rather than just engaging the listening aspect of the brain, they were actually, when they heard their mother's voice, they were engaging the emotional, the rewards, facial recognition aspects of the brain as well. And so it's much more profound, much deeper than had previously been thought and studied. And as I said, it goes to the actual way that the brain, and I guess our individual brains as children, as adult brains are essentially are wired.
Mm-hmm. I love this story. It's a great story, Elliot. You know, I don't have any children, but if I'm ever blessed with any, it looks like they're going to have to listen to me whether they like it or not. That's good. That's really comforting to know. Quick question for you. Do we think that this is somehow related to developing in utero, that they're so used to the sound of their mom's voice because they hear her talking 24 hours a day?
Yeah.
Perhaps maybe when they come out, that would be why they're more responsive than any other voice?
Right, one would think that would be part of the case, but as I said, I think it's also, and then I think that's where the research had established previous to this study.
Right.
But I think what this study is saying is going beyond that. So I think that must be a factor, you're right. Just the practical development of the child, and as you say, being exposed to the mother's voice in utero for that period of time. But I think what this goes to is actually it's the looking under the hood, as it were, of the actual brain itself, and seeing that the circuitry is predisposed to be more available and be more responsive to the sound of the mother's voice.
I love great story. This is good news for women everywhere who actually want their kids to listen to them. You know, I find that my mom's voice kind of grating sometimes. So I wonder if that plays into this.
It can.
Really
well, they
grating.
didn't get into that for adults, but you're quite right. It is like nails on a chalkboard quite often, right? And it's just
sometimes
it's the tone. I think that goes more to the tone and the substance as well as the actual sound.
You might
perhaps.
be right on that. Yes.
The condemnation that's just analysis that's just in there. Really, again, it's that use of certain.
That might be what's happening in my circuitry, actually.
Right. But for now, for children, the circuitry. Listen to your mother. As Margaret says, listen to your mother. It's all you can do. It's unavoidable.